Don't tread on us, we're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. Don't tread on us, you cross the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us, we're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. There is a storm coming, like nothing you have ever seen, and not a one of you is prepared for it.
Hello everyone, this is Lavoy Finicum. It's September 2014. I'm out here on my ranch. It's great out here. You know, I've never been one to try to cause problems. I didn't get in trouble in school. I always raised my hand. I always stood in line. To this day, I do not have a speeding ticket. But it doesn't take too much to see that dark storm clouds are gathering.
Here is a non-willful trespass fee of $92 and change, $180, $1,185 and change.
It's not theirs. I didn't buy it from them.
This tank here has been sabotaged.
BLM came in here, set up a tank, and they drained it. They stole it.
We have been classified as domestic terrorists.
These are real lives. These are real people.
They're going to pull everybody's grazing rights, and everybody will lose their jobs here.
Look what they're doing over to that family, the Hammond family. They threw them in jail. Tremendous amount of fines.
This isn't America. This isn't what we are. No matter how long or short my days may be, I am going to live as a free man. I promise you this, I will not back down. I will not capitulate. I will die before, and I'll sleep well at night. We all only have one life. Maybe we'll get a chance to look each other in the eye.
This is not a light thing that I'm doing, but I've counted the cost, and I'm willing to pay it.
Now, folks, let's be honest. I grew up in a law enforcement family. Maybe there was a day when if a man was asked for an ass whooping, it's a cop's job to give it to him, yes?
Time for Rockford Ladder 2.
Well, that day is gone. If it ever existed, it's gone today. There is no action you can engage in that will not be on CNN and YouTube tomorrow morning. You don't have to like it. You got to accept it. It's called reality. There's cameras and umpires everywhere. What we want in a modern liberal democracy in our army is we want to turn violence on and off like a faucet.
Now, you make the point that while killing may be an inherent taboo, it's something that can be learned.
The only way you make a frightened person react in a certain way is to drill it into them, to make it a conditioned response.
Conditioned response, that as soon as you see an enemy, right, you kill.
Every species, every mammal has a powerful built-in resistance against killing their own kind.
Now you begin the process of orchestrating the instruments together in a symphony of death and destruction!
Once you've made the decision to take a human life, you're a transformed creature, you're a predator. What does a predator do? They kill. Only a killer can hunt a killer. Are you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically prepared to snuff out a human life in defense of innocent lives? If you can't make that decision, you need to find another job.
Shots fired!
321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
Told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license.
Can I see your license, please? Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Why did you shoot me? Well, you dove head first back into your car. Your seatbelt violation, sir.
I just pulled it off right there at the corner to pull in the gas station!
Well, I got help come to you, okay? I got help come to you.
Sorry!
Whenever we survey cops about use of deadly force, they consistently tell us that number one concern is what? Begins with an L. Lawsuits, liability, lawyers, I'm going to get sued. Do you understand you can be sued for not shooting? Stand there and do nothing while people are murdered. What do they call that? Cowardice, malfeasance, dereliction of duty, deliberate indifference, blood on your hands. We might call it assisted suicide, because the one that dies next might be you, yes? There's only one way out. Know the law, know it well. Get every training opportunity you can. Don't be afraid of being sued. Everybody gets sued, just a chance for overtime. Be afraid of being successfully sued. Ecclesiastes 3:3, time to kill, time to heal. Appreciate you, brother. Good to have you on board. Stay hard. Hurrah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Proud to be a serviceman. Stay hard.
Good. How are you? Good. Reason I pulled you over, your brake lights are out.
Sir, I have to tell you, I do have a firearm on me.
Don't reach for it then. Don't pull it out.
I'm not pulling it out.
Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out!
I wasn't!
Come on! Fuck!
Oh, man, I can't
Fuck! Fuck!
Every sheriff in these states told Obama, you come into our state and into our county, we will declare war on you. You send federal agents to disarm our constituents in our county, we will arrest you. I am one of the most avid anti-communists in the United States of America because I understand the enemy. Not only who they are, but what they are, what they have done, and what they're planning to do. Now, a lot of you may not like me, but you see, I don't care. I love America. I love the Republic. And I know that Jewish communism is the internal enemy of we, the United States of America, and we, the people. Because the people smell a rat, and it's a two-legged rat, and it's a Jew communist rat inside of America. Before you can really understand sometime what is really going on around you, you've got to go back into history, the time, the place, the pictures, and the events thereof, to understand what's really going around you now. The Ukraine had a record harvest. They had so much food, they didn't know what to do with it. But they couldn't have any, because the Jews wouldn't let them eat it, and they starved 9 to 10 million Ukrainians to death when they had food all around them, and if the Ukrainians tried to eat any, they were either clubbed to death, bayoneted, or shot to death. And Stalin took the food and the other leaders and they sold it on the world market to make money. If you wore a cross, you died. If you were caught with the Bible, you were put to death. And then they even tried to force the white Christian Russians to speak Yiddish for 2 years, trying to make it that language of white Russia. The Germans knew all about this secret Holocaust, and they didn't want it to happen to them. And what happened in White Russia, the White Russians were partial Prussian German. And that was their ancestors that these Jews did it to. This was the greatest Holocaust that you can imagine, second only to the Holocaust in the United States of 50 million aborted babies. And they are planning the same identical overthrow and genocide in the United States as they did against the white Christian Russians in 1917. But they just haven't got the guns yet. Lock and load. Suck it up. We have an enemy in the land. And they will not take this nation. So help me God.
Are you okay? You got hit?
I'm good. They're for that, dude. What?
Okay.
Anybody has a phone, put your hands up! Put your hands up! Keep them down, I can see them!
They're doing their job.
You in the blue shirt with the shorts, keep your hands up. You with the hat, green shirt, put your hands up, I can't see them. Video guy, get back! Video guy in a white shirt, get back!
Dude, I'd probably say there's at least 10 cop cars aside from this vehicle. Philip, isn't that private property they're trying to arrest him on?
All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, fuck you. War.
You rolling? You rolling? Yeah, we're good. This is John Wannick of the Resistance. I don't know how far this broadcast will reach. They've taken the city. They're trying to erase us. Now more than ever, we need you to act. And if you're receiving this message, you've been recruited. Welcome to the fight, Patriots. Yeah, fight! Fight! Our enemies are moving in, and they anticipate us not having the numbers to resist. It is up to you to prove them wrong. Get this message out, and wake up the Patriots! I don't need to remind you what would happen should we fail. One of these days could be our last. By helping and taking action and contributing to the cause, you'll be remembered as taking a stand against the gray state before it completely destroys everything we know. They're inside! Most of us died pointlessly and are forgotten. Do you really want to die without making a sound? Either stand now or kneel forever! You alright? He's coming? He's dead. Keep rolling! Keep rolling! There are only days left. The gloves are off, the safeties are off. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. Diplomacy is over. War is here. If we don't make this happen, history will not remember us! Sit right back.
about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
Somebody didn't want the Gray State investigated, explored, and unveiled. That's why David Crowley is dead. He was the writer and director of one of the most controversial movies in modern history. And somebody didn't want him to produce it. What was so threatening about David Crowley and the Gray State concept? Like Gray State, many Hollywood films have depicted apocalyptic themes and end-of-the-world scenarios. Yet the directors of these films are still alive. Roland Emmerich wasn't murdered after directing blockbusters 2012 and A Day After Tomorrow. Steven Soderbergh wasn't killed after his movie, Contagion. But David Crowley is dead, along with his wife and child. They were killed before the production could be completed. What was so dangerous about Gray State? David Crowley claimed that his movie was based on real events, not Hollywood propaganda like you see in movies such as 2012.
California is going down!
God, you sound like a crazy person. The governor just said we're fine now.
The guy's an actor, he's reading a script!
So the Gray State is essentially an artistic representation of real aspects put into a fictional format. Once you open your eyes and start looking at all these trends like RFID, like martial law, like FEMA, like executive orders, you have to act within your own capacity to sort of, talk about this. A lot of people filter that into the political realm. A lot of people do other things like grassroots style. I mean, I'm a filmmaker, Danny's an actor. So we put our heads together and we started making a project that would act within our own faculty to portray that in a creative manner. So there's a story here. I have to start telling a story. So I was looking for the next film project to work on anyway. I'm like, well, this would be perfect. And it's not really perfect because you have to kind of filter down all this stuff into a narrative storyline that's not just propaganda telling you what's going to happen next, like 2012 or A Day After Tomorrow. It's got to be a human story, and it's got to be enduring and compelling. The way we're different is we're independent, and we don't expect any participation from any studios just because of its contentious nature. I mean, anyone knows that Hollywood has not approached this topic so directly before. That's what makes Gray State so compelling. It's that different. Definitely the trailer is our best efforts to kind of show this world and expose these very real issues that exist in our world today.
David claims that Hollywood has never dealt with topics like RFID, internment camps in America, and detention. Instead, they have produced propaganda in place of real issues. When Hollywood does discuss internment and detention, it's almost always about World War II and the Holocaust. Literally thousands of films have been produced about the Holocaust, and yet one single film that addresses the potential for a Holocaust in the United States is stopped mid-production after its director is murdered. Seems a bit odd, doesn't it? They don't want Americans, Canadians, and other Western countries to know what is coming. And that is a plan to intentionally collapse Western society. If you don't believe me, read the plan that's been in the books for over a century. Planned out by the Illuminati and penned by Albert Pike back in the 1800s in his 3 World War predictions. Gray State was simply too threatening. It revealed too much, not just the obvious points of what could happen with the collapse of a society, things like martial law, food shortages, and a provisional government. It goes beyond this. David knew a secret, and he left it inside of the trailer for Gray State, in plain sight. David Crowley used the Illuminati's favorite game against the notorious Cabal. It's a game they've played with the human race for years. They provide clues about the future to toy with us. They did it with 9/11. They've done it with other major catastrophes. It's called predictive programming. On occasion, though, they get outsmarted at their own game. What was David's hidden message inside the Gray State? And could it be the reason for his death? Perhaps the scariest part of Gray State's conceptual trailer is this character here, who appears to be operating a guillotine. David Crowley was very intentional in this frame of the movie. He added something that I believe he wanted the people to know about. Who is the identity of this executioner? If you look closely, you will see that this terrifying character is wearing something around his waist. It appears to look like an apron. The executioner wears a Freemason apron, complete with the all-seeing eye, the compass, and the 2 pillars. I do believe David Crowley is trying to tell us something. He is telling us that the organization behind the French and American revolutions, the organization behind the Italian Revolution of 1830, the organization that outlined a plan to overtake the Vatican in a document called the Alta Vendita, the organization behind the Trail of Tears and the deaths of thousands of Native Americans under Freemason Grand Master Andrew Jackson, the organization behind the Ku Klux Klan in the United States post-Civil War and its rebirth in 1915, the organization behind the detonations at Hiroshima and Nagasaki during 33rd degree Freemason Harry Truman's presidency. These are men with a radical revolutionary agenda throughout the entire world because they worship and follow a radical revolutionary deity. The first to have led a revolt against the Most High Lord. David Crowley knew something, and he was trying to warn the people. The ones behind the FEMA death camps, the guillotines, and the detention of Americans, it's the Freemasons. They're planning a second American Revolution.
Would you like to see all the executive orders that have been put into place to take over our nation, to have complete control over us, to take away our rights, round us up, and put us where they want us? Here we go. Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of all highways and seaports. Executive Order 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communication media. Executive Order 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. Executive Order 10998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind, and total control over highways, seaports, and waterways. Executive Order 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. Executive Order 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. Executive Order 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Executive Order 11004 allows a housing and finance authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. Executive Order 11005 allows the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. Executive Order 11051 specifies the responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and gives authorization to put all executive orders into effect in times of increased international tensions and economic or financial crisis. Executive Order 11310 grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plans set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the President. Executive Order 11049 assigns emergency preparedness function to federal department and agencies, consolidating 21 operative executive orders issued over a 15-year period. Executive Order 11921 allows the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency to develop plans to establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of energy sources, wages, salaries, credit, and the flow of money in U.S. financial institution in any undefined national emergency. It also provides that when a state of emergency is declared by the President, Congress cannot review the action for 6 months. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has broad powers in every aspect of the nation. General Frank Salzito, chief of FEMA's Civil Security Division, stated in a 1983 conference that he saw FEMA's role as a new frontier in the protection of individual and governmental leaders from assassination and of civil and military installations, from sabotage and or attack, as well as prevention of dissident groups from gaining access to U.S. opinion or a global audience in times of crisis. FEMA's powers were consolidated by President Carter to incorporate the National Security Act of 1947 that allows for strategic relocation of industries, services, government, and other essential economic activities, and to rationalize the requirements for manpower, resources, and production facilities. The 1950 Defense Production Act gives the President sweeping powers over all aspects of the economy. The Act of August 29, 1916 authorizes the security of the Army in time of war to take possession of any transportation system from transporting troops, material, or any other purpose related to the emergency. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act enables the President to seize the property of a foreign country or national. These powers were transferred to FEMA in a sweeping consolidation in 1979.
There's a storm coming and it can't be stopped. FEMA camps are being prepped in every major city. Superstores are being turned into death factories surrounded by razor wire. Mass graves are being set up across the country. These sites will become the final resting place for millions of Americans. So why isn't the news talking about this? What happens when you put FEMA camps and mass graves together? You get genocide. They are preparing a genocide, ladies and gentlemen. The footage doesn't lie. When are people going to wake up? People are seeing these death camps go up across the country. What you're looking at here isn't about Republican versus Democrat. It isn't about black versus white. It's about mass murder. And everybody out there is going to be a future victim. The ruling elite have made the situation perfectly clear. You are going to be eliminated. One way or another, they are coming for you. Today, it's a silent war. They're poisoning the food, the air, the water. But in the days to come, this war is going hot. And when it does, they've got the infrastructure in place for a genocide. Everyone knows the end is near. They can see it for themselves. And this is what's going on in every major city. One way or another, this cult of death is going to make the Georgia Guidestones happen. Now, some people out there are clinging to the dream that somehow they'll be on the winning team. Repeat after me. You are not the 1%. You will not survive what's coming unless you begin waking up everyone around you. Quit letting the television control your mind. These people on television are not going to save you. Not one of them is talking to you about what you're looking at here. Instead, they're trying to divide us by selling us lies while plotting our demise.
Regardless of where you live on this planet, no matter what your nationality, the fact that the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA are still on the books should disturb you on a fundamental level. If not, give it 3 minutes. The National Defense Authorization Act, which was passed in 2012 and extended in 2013 and 2014, authorizes the U.S. military to arrest anyone, anywhere on the planet, to deny them access to a lawyer, and to detain them indefinitely without a trial. Furthermore, the U.S. government claims the right to do all of this in secret. No one would know where you went. You would just disappear. The right to a fair trial is gone. Without the right to a fair trial, you don't have any rights at all. Of course, some would argue that the NDAA only targets enemies of the United States, as if this would somehow make it okay. That defense doesn't hold water. It doesn't matter who the law claims to target, and it doesn't matter under what conditions politicians claim it can be used. If you don't have a right to a lawyer, and if you don't get your day in court, and if the government isn't even obligated to disclose the fact that they dragged you from your house in the middle of the night, then who is going to make sure that this isn't abused? The soldiers? The politicians? Come on. The power to make someone disappear without a trial is the power to make up any excuse that's convenient. Evidence is only needed when you have to prove your case in court. That's why we have courts. The protections codified in the Constitution were put there for a reason. But at this point, it looks very much like America is going to learn that lesson the hard way. Land of the free, right? You can put your hand over your heart, celebrate something that no longer exists, or you can be honest with yourself. That might be a bit painful. No one wants to believe that their kids are going to live under a military dictatorship. No one wants to see this coming. So most people put their head in the sand and do their best not to think about it. Those who don't always begin with one question. What can we do? The first thing you need to understand here is that our problem is psychological, not material. You have the means to take back your power. And you don't need a set of specific instructions. You don't need someone to hold your hand and explain your role. You don't need someone to give you permission. What you need is to turn off your TV, turn off your radio, put down the iPad, and ask yourself if you're going to be able to look your grandchildren in the eyes and tell them honestly that you did everything in your power to turn this around. Are you going to push this out of your mind because it's uncomfortable? Or are you going to convert that discomfort into a driving force? No one can make that choice for you. I'll tell you this much though. If that thought itches in the minds of enough people, we'll figure out a way to scratch it. And if that driven feeling is fully established in your heart, you'll find a way to make it spread. Those who control the United States government are up to something big. In this video, we're going to give you a glimpse of what's going on. We're going to present a collection of evidence from mainstream sources, all of which will be listed in the description below, and then we're going to connect the dots. The unified picture that you'll see once those dots are connected will be terrifying for some people, especially if you've never been exposed to this kind of information before. But that's not the goal of this video. The goal of this video is to motivate you to take action, and quickly. But that's only going to happen if you understand what's really at stake. Over the past decade, the US government has been radically transformed. These transformations began with the Patriot Act passed by Bush in 2001, and they were further consolidated by Obama with the NDAA of 2012 and 2013. The contents of these laws were ominous warnings of what was coming, but for the average American, the changes that were taking place had little effect on their lives. The introduction of the Department of Homeland Security and the invasive new policies of the TSA and airports were uncomfortable, but for most of the population, it wasn't worth resisting. We heard stories of the government listening to people's phone conversations and searching houses without warrants, but this was all behind the scenes and it didn't really affect the population at large, so the outcry was limited. Occasionally, the mainstream media mentioned the extraordinary rendition and torture of suspected terrorists in military prisons, but of course these political pundits did their best to convince you that this was all justified and necessary for your security. Then Obama came onto the scene promising hope and change, but it didn't take long for him to start showing his true colors when he renewed the Patriot Act and backed out of his promise to close Guantanamo. When Obama signed the NDAA giving the military the power to detain anyone, including U.S. citizens, indefinitely and without trial, and when he claimed the right to kill U.S. citizens without trial domestically or abroad, there was some outrage. But this outrage faded as new headlines pulled your attention away. On the surface, it might have started to seem like none of this was going to affect your life, so you put it out of your mind. If you were paying attention, you might have noticed that things were changing little bit by little bit. Cameras started appearing everywhere. The police began to be militarized, and drones began to patrol the skies domestically. But behind the scenes, something even bigger was afoot. Biometric information began to be collected from nonviolent protesters when arrested, from all immigrants entering the country, from school children without their parents' permission, and even from the public at large without their knowledge. The government has been collecting that information, and compiling it into the largest biometrics database in the world. This database, referred to as NGI, will be online in 2014. These laws have been building the mechanisms for a totalitarian police state piece by piece, and now they're attempting to put the final measures in place.
The new proposed immigration bill, called the Border Security, Economic Opportunity, and Immigration Modernization Act, which is up for debate this summer of 2013, adds the two final elements. The first is a provision for a federal employment database that all workers will have to be approved through in order to get a job. This database will tie into other government databases at the discretion of the DHS, and the DHS is given the authority to unilaterally increase the identification requirements at will, and to demand that these standards be enforced as a condition of employment. What this means is that once this is in place, if the DHS decides that all ID cards must contain iris scan information and fingerprints, you'll have to give it to them or you won't be allowed to work. This in itself is a major power grab, but the full implications of the NGI database combined with this new employee identification system goes far beyond the workplace. In the immigration bill, there's a provision to set up a biometric scanning system in all international airports for departures. This system, which is proposed to roll out over the next 6 years, is initially just targeting immigrants. But once the system is in place, it would be trivial to start using it for the entire public. Such a switch wouldn't even need to be announced, since developments in biometric technology enable identification from a distance. They can do this with software connected to security cameras using facial recognition, infrared iris scanners, and even the rhythm of one's walk. Identification by one's unique patterns of movement, referred to as gait recognition, can even be used with drones. Once the biometrics verification system is set up at all ports of entry and departure, connecting this to the NGI database, existing surveillance cameras, and domestic drones to track the movements of ordinary citizens anywhere and everywhere, including wilderness areas, could happen without any outwardly visible changes, and without any new laws. One of the most significant hallmarks of a police state is the establishment of systems to control who can leave a country. Such systems are often used to prevent political dissidents from escaping. This is often combined with intensive surveillance internally, both of communications and personal activities, and a brutal police force that operates above the law. Never in history has any dictatorship in the world had a system of surveillance, tracking, and exit management as sophisticated and powerful as the one the United States is about to finish setting up. Never. The Soviets had elaborate borders with double barbed wire, minefields, and guard towers, but none of this compares to a border patrolled by high-tech drones linked to the world's largest biometric database, with biometric scanners at every point of entry or departure. If they get this through, they will have truly outdone George Orwell. But the government would never abuse this power, would they? After all, America is the world's greatest beacon of hope and freedom, right? Well, the fact that the US government has already established a massive and secretive no-fly list, and the fact that anti-war activists have already been placed on this list for political reasons, should be considered a warning sign. In its current form, it's already impossible for citizens to find out if their names are on the list, and there's no process for getting your name removed from the list. What happens when the no-fly list becomes the no-leave list? So here's the real question. Do you trust the US government with this power? Do you actually believe that their primary goal is to protect you? If so, you haven't been paying attention. In 2013, we've been given a little glimpse of what's coming to America. In the Dorner case, we had a man accused of murder and condemned by the media as guilty based on a typed manifesto that he had supposedly written, even though there was no real evidence that Dorner had written the manifesto at all. A nationwide manhunt was put into motion. Whole highways were roadblocked and cars were searched. Police moved through neighborhoods searching hundreds of houses without warrants, and drones were said to have been deployed to hunt for him. And in the end, the police intentionally set fire to the building that he was supposedly hiding in, burning the man to death. The police initially denied that they set the fire, but later they were forced to admit that they had, due to a police scanner audio that got out to the public. And they got away with it. No one in the mainstream media or the government even blinked. Then we saw the Boston bombing case where two suspects were hunted down with equally tenuous evidence, even though photos from the event showed a number of individuals that were clearly involved. These other individuals were never mentioned by the authorities or the mainstream media. All attention was placed on the Tsarnaev brothers as if they were already proven guilty. The manhunt to catch these two boys was unprecedented. The DHS rolled down the streets with military-grade armored vehicles, searching house to house with no warrants, instituting an improvised form of martial law on the fly, just like that, because they could. The Tsarnaev brothers were finally caught, and they were shown in footage being arrested alive and well. Yet somehow, hours later, they were both shot full of holes. The older brother died, the other was left unable to speak, and the government and the mainstream media were silent. But the story didn't end there. Ibrahim Todashev, a friend of the Tsarnaev brothers, was brutally murdered by the FBI just weeks later. He was shot 6 times in the body and once in the back of the head. Murdered in cold blood, execution style. Todashev was unarmed, but the agents claimed that he attacked them. It's hard to imagine what an unarmed man could do to deserve a bullet in the back of the head. All of this establishes a new precedent, where the US government chases down suspects with militarized manhunts, instituting martial law on a whim, and acting as judge, jury, and executioner in the field. They kill with impunity based on flimsy or non-existent evidence, all with the support of a mainstream media circus that televises the whole event for your entertainment. This in itself is a chilling shift in tone, but believe it or not, there's more. A Department of Defense document entitled Internment and Resettlement Operations, also known as FM 3-39.40, was leaked this year, revealing detailed plans for the establishment of military internment camps within the United States. The document clearly calls for the collection of social security numbers, meaning it will be used for U.S. citizens. And it even has diagrams for 3 different types of camps that are to be implemented. These diagrams show interrogation rooms, guard towers spread throughout the facilities, and double barbed wire surrounding the camps. The following video details the contents of a Department of Defense document entitled Internment and Resettlement Operations, also known as FM 3-39.40. The document is 325 pages long and it is signed by Joyce E. Morrow, Administrative Assistant to the Secretary of the Army. It was created in 2010, however, it's just been recently leaked to the public via the internet and can now be downloaded from multiple sources. In the description below, you'll find a download link for the document. I strongly encourage you to download it yourself and to verify everything that's being said here. The document outlines military procedures for internment and resettlement of civilians, and it describes the layout and the administration of these internment camps. It clearly states on page 38 that it applies within U.S. territory, and it specifically addresses the detainment of U.S. citizens, as is indicated by the identification procedures for new prisoners on page 146, which states that social security numbers are to be recorded alongside their photograph and fingerprints. Included in the list of organizations which may be involved in these internment operations are the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the Department of Defense, and the United Nations. On page 56, the document outlines the responsibilities of psychological operations officers within the camps, among which it states that a PSYOP officer develops and executes indoctrination programs to reduce or remove antagonistic attitudes and identifies political activists. On page 281, the document goes into more detail regarding the role of psychological operations within the camps, specifically in regards to pacifying the population and ensuring cooperation. On page 238, it gives the conditions for the use of deadly force in such camps. Among the justifications for lethal force, it includes to terminate an active escape attempt. That point right there should make it clear that these camps are not benevolent disaster relief type facilities. On page 244, the document calls for the use of snipers during riots to, quote, scan a crowd and identify agitators and riot leaders for apprehension and fire lethal rounds if warranted. On page 260, it shows the basic layout for a facility focusing on detainment. It is depicted with interrogation areas, tribunal areas, and mortuaries. Each detainment facility is designed to hold 4,000 prisoners, and they are depicted with multiple levels of barbed wire separating compartments within the facilities, with a double barbed wire fence enclosing them, and watched over by 24 guard towers. On page 261, the document depicts the layout for what they call civilian resettlement facilities, which are designed to house 8,000 people. Though it uses the word resettlement, the plans show multiple levels of barbed wire dividing the sections of the facility, with double barbed wire fencing on the outside, as well as 16 guard towers. On page 262, the layout for facilities designed for what they call non-compliant prisoners is shown. These camps are designed to hold up to 300 prisoners, they have 3 interrogation centers, and are guarded by 13 guard towers. Now, if there's any question whether these plans are active or just theoretical, this should be settled by the fact that the U.S. Army has been running ads for job positions in these camps since 2009, and apparently, they're still hiring. Once again, if you look in the description, you'll find all the links you need to verify this information. It's important to note here that this document was created in 2010, which was under the Obama administration, and it predates the NDAA of 2012, which authorized military detainment of U.S. citizens. This clearly shows a long-term agenda at work. But wait, there's more. The Department of Homeland Security has recently gone on a bullet buying spree, purchasing over 1.6 billion rounds in just a few months. And even after the mainstream news started covering it, the DHS ordered more bullets. A large percentage of these bullets are hollow points and buckshot and cannot be used by the military, and the DHS only operates domestically. The DHS claims these bullets are to be used for training purposes, but anyone who knows anything about guns knows that you don't use hollow points for training. Hollow points are much more expensive than FMJ. Furthermore, this is more ammunition per DHS officer than U.S. soldiers have been using in the war. In parallel, we had Senator Coburn release a paper about the wasteful spending in the DHS, in which he pointed out a bizarre training exercise where the DHS practiced shooting civilians who were disguised as zombies. Coburn focused on the spending aspect, but if you watch the actual footage and put it into context with everything else, the real purpose of these training exercises is much more disturbing. DHS officers are being conditioned to fire on unarmed civilians. The zombie makeup is just a smokescreen. Believe it or not, this is only a fraction of the evidence that we can present here. There is much more that you'll find if you do your own research. As outlandish as this picture may look to you if this is the first time you've encountered this information, the reality is that from a historical perspective, nothing we're showing here is unusual at all. Countries slip into totalitarian dictatorships all the time. You've just been conditioned to believe that it could never happen in America. But it can happen in America. And it is happening. It's happening right now. There are 3 ways of dealing with what you've just seen. You can pretend that this is all a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but to do that, you'll have to ignore the extensive documentation given from mainstream sources. Some might call this skepticism, but the more accurate term is willful ignorance. Option number 2, you can cower in fear and do everything in your power to avoid attracting the attention of the government. Of course, that's your prerogative, but what are you going to say to your children and grandchildren when they ask you what you did when this went down? Or, option number 3, you can fight to stop this. The powers that be have an Achilles heel, and that's the enforcers. These DHS officers are your fellow Americans. Most of them are not evil. They're just misinformed and perhaps a little brainwashed by their training. You can reach out to them, make friends with them, show them this information. You can reach out to police and military, to current serving and veterans alike. Make them understand what's coming. Make them realize that they've been tricked, that they are being used to destroy their own country. If the powers that be lose control of their enforcement arm, it will be game over for these criminals. Now, you may not know anyone in the armed forces, but you can still help by getting this message to as many people as possible. Post this on Facebook, on Twitter, on your blog. Share it with your friends via email. Download these videos and hand them out on DVD. The more people we reach, the more likely it is we'll reach someone in a chain of command who's in a position to stop this. If you believe that this is important information for people to know about, then please share this video with as many people as you can. Share it on Facebook and on Twitter. Send it in emails to friends and family. Especially send it to anyone you know within the police and military. A smart strategy would be to download the PDF yourself and email it to people as an attachment with a link to this video so that they know how to navigate the document. If you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel, Storm Clouds Gathering on YouTube. For bonus content, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Storm Clouds Gathering, on Twitter at Collapse Updates, and our website, stormcloudsgathering.com.
The American Embassy back in Jerusalem. The American Embassy back in Jerusalem.
Come on, blue team, come on now. It's looking live out there, blue team. Let's play some defense now. Come on, D up. I don't care what you think about me, I'll be just fine. I don't care if your eyes ever see or you stay flying. I'm trying to be the light beneath the light, and I'm gonna try. Here we go. Now, I got something on my mind and it's been bothering me for some time. So now I'm gonna hear the deaf and see the blind, and hope I find the lesson to the message in my rhyme. You see, if I speak honestly or emphatically, and I say one little thing that's negative about the president, then automatically I gotta be a resident of the other side. Why? That's absurd. The left wing and right wing are on the same bird. Huh. Red team, blue team, we need a fucking new team. Donald J. Trump's part of the same old routine. Behavior. Trump is not Q. Q is not a savior. What the fuck's he gave you? Some clues? Kept you confused? Q is just a part of the illusion, the confusion, not the solution. If Q knows the truth, then why's he gotta hide it in a clue? So you stay undecided and more divided. I don't buy it. You know what I trust? I trust the pandemic. Huh. I don't care what you think about me, I'll be just fine. I don't care if your eyes ever see or you stay blind. I'm trying to be the light beneath the light, and I'm gonna try. Helter skelter, shelter in place. Social distancing is not enough space for these noble moguls to piss in our face. It's a disgrace. Nobody fights back, nobody bites back, and once they're gone, no, we ain't getting our rights back. Why's that? Cause we acted like a bunch of soft bitches. Call up the cops if your neighbor got a cough, snitches, wind up in ditches. I hope I get to smell these Hollywood witches when they burning in hell. But right now I can tell we still under the spell. We fell. If you don't take pause and recognize the cause, they coming for your balls. Red flag laws, government teeth and claws. I don't want my taxes paying for no fucking vaxes that they fast track, queue up the laugh track, grab you up a knapsack and some provisions, because we've got some decisions to make about our future, of our nation, and what we're facing. Contact tracing, legal interrogation, one PlayStation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for none. Have they won? No, not yet, but they're close to completing the lobotomy. With precision into scalpels of division, they make the incision the false dichotomy. And it's gotten me feeling animosity toward the aristocracy. I want the blood of the royal elite to flood the street and irrigate the field. How dare you motherfucking pigs bang on your shields? Nobody died when Kaepernick kneeled. I don't care what you think about me, I'll be just fine. I don't care if your eyes ever see or you stay blind. I'm trying to be the light beneath the light. And I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna try.
Watch this democracy
And I'm gonna try.
turn into a technocracy before our very eyes.
And I'm gonna try.
Government exists
And I'm gonna try.
because we allow it to in our minds.
And I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna try. And I'm gonna try. 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 I'm gonna try.